Open Your Eyes is brought to you by SMART, bringing people together, and the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Good morning, right?
I'm Sabrina Daly.
I'm Paul Lopez.
And good morning, Paul. How you doing?
I am doing fine. It's a lovely Tuesday morning,
is.
as it is usually. We had some rains last night.
We experienced some showers very early this morning, and of course it's still a bit gloomy outside, but nonetheless I think we're still expecting to have a good day. This morning when I left very early, I saw folks out on the road exercising as usual. So rain aside, the show goes on, the day goes on, so I am looking forward to that. But I know that we have quite a few topics to discuss this morning. First off, I know we have been experiencing some weather conditions bringing about rain, and of course that was the case last night, as you mentioned, as well as early this morning.
Yeah.
Of course, we are expecting more rains. We are in the hurricane season, which is technically our rainy season as well. So I know that we will be expecting further showers, but I think after experiencing one extreme of fires and droughts, even though the rains are coming a bit excessive, we are still grateful for the showers of blessings.
Indeed, there are moments of scattered showers
Yes.
across the country. So it's not everywhere that's getting the rain or everywhere that's having that experience. But after long bouts of heat, I know that it's welcomed. I slept through the rain last night, and so it was a bit of a surprise to me to wake up this morning and realize that outside was wet. Some of those huge potholes had water, fixing the potholes in my area, had water.
Side note.
in it, but that's signs for me that it rained the night before. But
The only thing that normally comes with the showers are the mosquitoes, of course, and because of that, I know that dengue is also a real condition that people are concerned about. I think one of my older sisters actually caught dengue just last week. So I do want to remind you guys, with the rains comes the mosquitoes, so try to stay indoors if you can or use a repellent. I know some people light up their fish coil, so maybe use that too. Or maybe that's a village term. I don't know if people here in the city use fish
yeah,
coil.
I catch it the last time I used fish, and I hear that as much as it's a repellent, it's not the healthiest thing to breathe in. But you know, sometimes we have to do with what we have to do. But mosquitoes, definitely, and perhaps this is a good time to remind people to get rid of settled water in your surroundings as best as possible. I know it's not the easiest thing for everybody, because there are some people whose homes are completely surrounded by water, but as best as possible, Sabrina, one should try to find a way to get rid of some water, and settled water in your surroundings, and that way you could get rid of some of the mosquitoes, but it's a problem right now.
Absolutely. Well, one of the other topics we know that's currently trending online is the situation with the bus routes in Belize City and the upcoming e-bus pilot project. You would know, Paul, that we have covered the e-bus, that is electric bus pilot project, extensively. We've also had the folks from the Belize City Council here on the show talking to us about what this project entails, of course, how it benefits commuters as well, and what it means for sustainable and more eco-friendly traveling. So on paper, that sounds great, correct? But what we have experiencing and what we covered last night in our newscast was a sort of pushback from other private bus companies that have been established long before here in Belize City. Of course, this isn't electric buses. These are regular gas buses. And they're essentially saying, and in this case, one particular private company, and I think it's ran by a person named Philip Jones, and he's saying that essentially the Belize City Council is robbing them of their routes, one, and potentially taking money out of their mouths by being too competitive.
Yeah, let's talk about an electrifying topic.
Absolutely.
This one is something I anticipated, to be quite honest. So you're right in saying that they're basically concerned. Their words were that the city council is cherry picking routes that they want, perhaps some of the more common, better routes. That's from their perspective.
Or more profitable roads.
More profitable routes, and that they would have to give up 51% of their earnings.
And by they, you're mentioning the private bus companies.
The private bus companies, because basically they're suggesting that this new system will sort of box them out or block them out of certain routes and certain businesses. My issue, and I know it's an issue that the public has, well, the question is how long, one, the conditions of these buses that are on the road at this point in time, of running our city roads, how long have they had the opportunity to upgrade their buses as one thing?
Yeah.
A lot of these buses on the route within the city are still in need of some very serious maintenance, some very serious upgrades when you're talking about seats falling off.
Right.
You're talking about the level of pollution that some of these buses cause. Sometimes you can't drive with your windows down behind some of these buses because all you're breathing in is black smoke.
Yeah.
Some of these buses have a propensity to break down along the route. So
have you ever been in a dry weather bus, Paul?
well, yes, I have. And so while I hear their concerns, I think if there's a public outcry, a true public outcry by way of a collective outcry, you would also hear concerns from the public and what this, and I am no defender of the city council, because I do believe that there needs to be a level of inclusivity here, and according to the mayor and Mr. Neil Hall yesterday, who held a press conference in response to that earlier press conference, they were saying that they had a meeting with several bus owners only a week ago. So there needs to be that level of inclusivity and involvement when having these discussions and making these decisions, where the future of bus routes are concerned in Belize City. But at the same time, there needs to be some level of accountability and collective responsibility on the part of these bus owners that have been in the city for so long. What is it that you are doing to provide a better service and a better experience to residents of Belize City that commute and depend on your buses on a daily basis? I know recently there was a price increase, and I say recently relatively because this is like almost 2 years now, it's not a year. It went from being a $1 bus to $2 bus now.
Yeah.
And so the price has increased, but has the level or the value of service increased as well? And one, regrettably so, one can argue and have a case that the level of service has not increased. So there's always another side to the coin. And so we're saying, and I hear the public saying that while you're concerned, also give us a helping hand to be concerned with you. And what these new buses seek to do is to provide more efficient services. I mean, you're talking about being able to lock in what time your bus will pass in your area, being able to lock in arrival time and departure
efficiency.
time, being able to lock in a certain price. We're talking about environmental awareness and consciousness by way of these buses running these routes in Belize City. So there's a lot of benefits here. And with a pilot project like this, I see it encouraging these bus owners, and it should be an encouragement to them to upgrade their services, to do more with their buses. And so that's kind of where I stand on this issue. While on one hand, yes, you are concerned. On the other hand, there needs to be greater investment. I don't know if the attorney is doing this work pro bono But perhaps we could consider using some of that finance as well, if that's the case, and investing it in these buses. Me, I'm not taking side here. I'm on the side of commuters, because there are times when my vehicle is down, or my vehicle is not available for me to use, and I take the bus from where I am on Coney Drive all the way over to Port Loyola area where I live. And the experience isn't always pleasant. And when it rains, it's worse, because then you have to keep your windows up, and then it gets hot and stuff like that. So
it takes me, Paul, to a story that I think you did about a year ago or 2 years ago, where you traveled from the bus terminal here in Belize City to Belmopan to essentially investigate the situation and the conditions of these buses. Now, this in that instance, that would not have been a Belize City bus, but nonetheless, it paints a picture of the frustrations that commuters have when it comes to the conditions of these buses.
So who feels
so I definitely hear your point there.
And I believe that the cost of the pilot project buses, the electric buses, would be at a bit higher price.
Like $1 extra, I think.
Like $1 extra or so, more than the traditional city buses. And so that's something else for customers have an option to choose. And you know what? As Belize City residents, they'll choose what's available at the moment. So we won't, a lot of people won't say, oh, I'll wait until the electric bus passes, or not catch these traditional city buses any at all. But it doesn't negate the fact that there is a serious need for upgrades with the bus system in a whole, and with these old, rugged, broke-down school buses that we bring over from America to operate and service our people here in Belize. We deserve better.
Yeah, well, we'll see how this further develops. As you mentioned, Philip Jones did hire an attorney, I believe it's Arthur Saldivar, to look into this matter on behalf of him and his bus company. I think essentially the issue between them, as we mentioned, is that they're saying the Belize City Council is trying to cherry pick their routes. And not only that, they are in that manner looking to take away potential customers, potential money from them because of adding these additional buses. So we will be seeing what takes place.
Yeah, we're going to keep following this story. This is one I think will develop, because there may be a launch of these buses pretty soon, and this press conference yesterday,
I believe it's in July the launch takes place.
So the press conference with Mr. Jones and Arthur Saldivar is an indication of that fact.
All right, well, what we know is also launching is KTV auditions, Paul. It is Tuesday, and as we've been talking about it all week last week, tonight is officially audition night launch for KTV The Remix. And of course, I know a lot of people are excited, Paul. I know I am. Of course, we've been showcasing the teaser for the past week, showcasing some of the people who came out to audition. And as you can tell, there was a lot of young faces, a lot of returning faces as well. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. I think what's important for the viewers to know tonight is that the faces you will be seeing, not all of them will make it to that live stage next week, Tuesday.
Yeah, it's an audition show. It's at 8 p.m. tonight. The audition show airs. I will certainly be locked in.
I know everyone will.
I've seen some of the auditions, Sabrina.
Yeah, you came to one of the audition days, yes?
Yeah, I came, and so I've seen a few of the auditions, and I know our producer was doing some work on it as well. I kind of stopped in like, hey, let me take a peek here. And listen, there's a lot of great voices there. There's a lot of good voices. There's a lot of average voices. And then, you know, you could carry them a little bit. But it's going to be an enjoyable and memorable show for sure. And one of the things I appreciate is the engagement by our Belizeans.
Absolutely.
We love to engage in the comments. My only encouragement is for Belizeans to keep it friendly, to keep it positive. You know, if you feel like somebody's voice is not up to par or up to whatever standards you have,
don't have,
still find a way to leave an encouragement, something positive. And on that note, we must also state that out of the audition lists, we've selected. So the panel of judges, which will be announced perhaps tonight, the panel of judges have already listed or selected who will move on to the live shows. And so I know that everyone is waiting. All those auditioners are waiting with bated breath to find out if they've made it to the live shows. I believe that after the auditions air tonight, that within this week, if not, well, next week is the live shows.
Yes.
So within this week, perhaps tomorrow or maybe Thursday, you will be getting that call to inform you if you've made it to the live shows.
And next week's live show will have only 12 of these auditioners.
And auditions are like 30?
Yeah, I think it was like 30-something persons came for the auditions. And as we mentioned, only 12 will make it to that live stage next week, Tuesday. So as you mentioned, Paul, these persons will be reached out to, I believe it's between today and tomorrow. And they're going to find out if they made the cut. So I'm definitely excited. I know those persons who came out to audition. They're also looking forward to that call. So all the best to you guys as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we do have a show to run into, Paul. And of course, it is Tuesday. So we're going to start things off with our weather, because as we mentioned, it has been a little bit gloomy outside. For you guys who are getting ready to head to work, you might want to take that umbrella or raincoat and prepare for some light showers. But to confirm that, we're going to get an official update from the folks at the National Meteorological Service.
Good morning. Moist and unstable conditions will support cloudy skies with sunny breaks today and cloudy skies tonight. Showers or thunderstorms will be isolated this morning, then will increase slightly over inland areas this afternoon and the south tonight. In the outlook, a few showers and isolated thunderstorms will affect most areas Wednesday morning and then mainly the south Wednesday night. Winds today along the coast and over the open seas will blow from the east and southeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be light chop. Low tides will occur at 5:44 this morning and 7:25 tonight. High tides follow at 11:58 this morning and 1:38 tomorrow morning. Temperatures this afternoon will peak at 81 Fahrenheit up in the Maya Mountains, 90 along the coast, and 95 inland. The moon will set at 8:49 this morning, and sunset is at 6:30 this evening. In the sarcasm forecast, latest satellite imagery suggests a significant decrease in sarcasm over the past few days. However, a few more mats could drift in occasionally over the next week. And that's the latest from the Belize Weather Bureau. Do have a pleasant day.
All right, there's your update from the folks at the National Meteorological Service. Moving, though, into our show lineup, we have a jam-packed show this Tuesday morning. Paul, starting things off, we'll be joined by Acting Assistant Chief Election Officer Anna Middleton, who will be talking to us about the upcoming by-election.
And in our second segment, we will be joined by Chief Environmental Officer Anthony Mai, who will be speaking with us about the new office, DOE office opened in San Pedro.
Wonderful. And in our third conversation, it's all about the officer cadet selection process for the United States Coast Guard.
Oh, that's nice. And then in our fourth and final segment, we will be speaking with a team from YWCA who will be in to talk about their summer programs. It's summer already.
It is summertime. It's a rainy summer, but nonetheless, these kids need things to keep them occupied. So we're looking forward to that conversation as well. But we got to take our first break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to the folks from the Elections and Boundaries about the by-election preparation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
My name is Waluko Mejia. I'm the General Manager at Copal Tree Lodge here in Toledo, Belize. The Belize Bank service we appreciate most is the Belize Bank ATM and the use of its debit card. It makes it very accessible for our employees here at Copal Tree Lodge. Essentially, they could access the ATM on their way home after work, and also that the local stores accept the use of a debit card.
Discover a shopping experience like no other at the V Department Store. They carry a vast array of products at unbeatable prices. Elevate your shopping journey with affordability, diversity, and accessibility at the V. conveniently located at 1745 Coney Drive in Belize City.
I'm connected. Yo.
I'm connected.
We're connected.
Create the perfect broadband bundle that fits your style with Smart Connect. With the Junior Bundle, get 50% off your national calls and up to 6 gigabytes of data at no extra cost. Get postpaid added on for an additional cost of only $25 with the Prime Bundle. Stay connected with unlimited smart-to-smart calls plus 6,300 megabytes of data and free international minutes. For the family, get the Binge Watchers bundle with Netflix add-on for only $28.13 more. This bundle gives you 4 profiles with unlimited streaming on multiple devices. Visit a showroom near you to sign up and personalize your own bundle combination with Smart Connect. Smart, bringing people together.
Good morning. Thank you for calling me. This is during the inspection first. Once the inspection passes, we do the connection for you.
Our teams at BEL continue to serve you.
Get ready for the most electrifying season yet. KTV The Remix Season 6 premieres on June 25th with the audition show. Who will walk away with bragging rights and the $10,000 grand prize? Tune in to find out. The excitement begins at 8 p.m. on Channel 5 and our streaming platforms. And it doesn't stop there. On July 2nd, the bliss comes alive once again with the live show starting at 8 p.m. KTV The Remix Season 6, where dreams become reality. Don't miss it, right here on Channel 5.
Welcome back, guys. So the Department of Environment opened its doors recently in San Pedro. And of course, I believe we provided some coverage of that in last week's newscast on Friday. But this morning we have here with us Anthony Mai, and he is the Chief Environmental Officer here to talk to us a bit candidly more about what we can expect from this office and, of course, a little bit more about their role over at the Environment Office. Good morning, sir, and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right.
Pleasure.
Well, before we even jump into the establishment of the office in San Pedro, let's get a bit of an overview about what's currently taking place over at the DOE.
Okay, nice. Well, again, it's an exciting time for the Department of Environment. The Department of Environment was established in around 1992 with the passing of the Environmental Protection Act. And so that's our parent legislation. So the department is about 32 years old, right? So pretty young in terms of thinking about the government system and departments within the government system. But since that time, we have had only one central office in Belmopan, right? We've been operating from Belmopan since the inception of the department. And I'm glad to say that now we are beginning to decentralize. And so we have opened a sub-office in San Pedro, where some of the responsibilities and functions and service of the Department of Environment will be done, right?
What's the, and I want to mention this because my colleague Paul recently asked you about the difference in responsibility as it relates to the DOE and the Forestry Department. Could you clarify that? So
the Environmental Protection Act basically is a broad legislation. So the mandate of the Department of Environment is broad. In fact, there are 27 roles and functions that are given to the Department of Environment under that legislation. But if you could categorize them, right, You could group them into advisory role, and so the Department of Environment has the responsibility to advise government on any matter related to the environment.
Okay.
We also have a permitting role. That means that we grant environmental clearance, permits, and approval for certain projects and for importation and exportation of certain commodities. And then also we have regulatory powers. And so we conduct compliance monitoring and enforcement of the environmental laws of Belize. So if you could kind of categorize and group our roles and function could be grouped into those three categories. Also, the environmental laws are, the EPA basically, it was intended to give the department a broad role in terms of environmental management and protection. And so we have like an umbrella legislation. Under the theme of environmental management, natural resources management, sustainability, the government also has several different departments and ministries that have responsibility for natural resources management. For example, the mining unit under the Ministry of Natural Resources manages and is a permitting agency for granting permit to dredge, to extract material. The forest department looks at forest-related issues. Under the forest department, a component of the forest department now under the ministry is the National Biodiversity Office, and they look at biodiversity. You have the fisheries department that look at after the marine-related issues. So again, there are many different departments within the government system that has responsibility for natural resources management as well. So the DOE then is overarching.
It's right? Like the umbrella organization.
It's the umbrella.
Yeah.
In fact, one of our core responsibilities is to foster intra and inter-ministerial cooperation.
Right.
And so we do that through several different means.
Now in San Pedro, there's a lot of these components at play, elements. Perhaps maybe forestry is not necessarily one, but when you think of mangroves, what do you think of forestry when you think of mangroves?
Indeed. So the Forest Department has, under their mandate, the responsibility to regulate the mangrove regulation. And in fact, the office in San Pedro that we just opened will also house the Forest Department personnel. Our presence in San Pedro is more permanent. So we have a senior officer and an environmental technician present in San Pedro on an everyday basis. The Forest Department will also have personnel in San Pedro frequently, but they won't be permanent. But they will use the same office space that we have.
Because in San Pedro, just based on my experience, the issues are so complex. In that it's an expanding town. There's a lot of investments going on, and on one hand, you want to be open to investments and you want to be open to this type of expansion, but there's also a responsibility to protect the environment and to ensure that it's being done in a sustainable manner. Let's talk about the complexities of San Pedro.
Sure. So again, as the jurisdiction of the office in San Pedro will cover Ambergris Key, which is the town and the entire island. It will cover Key Carker and Key Chapel for now, right? We chose to open the office in San Pedro because, again, it's an island, and the marine area around the island, and even the terrestrial component, are very sensitive. In fact, everyone that goes to San Pedro could see the reef right beyond. Right? So it's critically important then that the development of San Pedro is regulated. We do, in the past, regulated the development, but again, we did it from Belompan, which logistically created some problem. Having a permanent presence in San Pedro makes it much easier for us to manage. San Pedro has several different environmental issues. Through the establishment of the office, we hope to at least address, resolve, and promote sustainable development on the island. The complexity that you spoke about, Paul, is something that we at the Department of Environment live with on a daily basis. The Department of Environment has been criticized for being too environmentally focused and strong on one end, and then we also are criticized for being pro-development or foster development. So I always explain to people that we walk the thin line between development and environmental protection, and it's not an easy thing to do because you're criticized no matter what you do. But we know that we have a specific mandate, which is to ensure that this country develops, but that it develops sustainably. So it develops in such a way that we don't deplete our natural resources, that the natural resources are around for future generation. So we have that as our mission, and we have as our vision that we want to be leaders in environmental stewardship nationally and regionally. So at the department, we know what we want to do. We do this on an everyday basis. But still, I think that the general public has to appreciate that without the Department of Environment, I mean, the natural resources and the environment in Beetle would be much worse than how it is now. I think that we just launched last month what we call the GEO report. It's a state of the environment report. The last such report was done about 10 or 12 years ago. So we launched that on World Environment Day, which was June 5th. And if you read through that document, the report and the technical summary is on our website. It gives you statistics on the health of the environment. And so far, Belize is doing pretty good in terms of where we are. So Belize has been a leader regionally in terms of within the Caribbean region and in terms of environmental management, and within the Latin American region. We have been leading in many different areas.
So I wanna take a closer look at San Pedro and the complexities of the challenges that are being faced there environmentally. What takes priority now that there is a Department of Environment office there in San Pedro?
So the priority for us is pollution and pollution control, right? So in terms of the area being developed, there's different sources of contamination, and contamination leads to pollution. The environmental laws describe pollution as the introduction into the environment of something that will eventually change the environment or change the ecosystem. And so on San Pedro, one of the biggest concern and one of the main issue that I have as the office to look at is that the residents in San Pedro have the idea that you could use garbage as fill.
Yes.
Anyone who goes to San Pedro, when you're flying into San Pedro, you could see that. And so that is one behavior that we hope to curb and stop, right? Again, solid waste, when it decomposes, it pollutes the environment, right? And so while you might really believe that, okay, I'm just filling my area, the environment, everything is connected. And so when the solid waste begin to degrade, the pollution will basically seep into the environment and you'll contaminate an entire area. So if we could just achieve that within maybe a year, that would be excellent results.
But then the argument could be, well, if I have to still fill my land, what are the other options?
So there are options for fill. I think there are 2 quarries in San Pedro that extract material. Again, there are procedures in place to receive approval from the government to extract, for example, sand from the nearby marine area and then use it as fill material. There's the option of barging in material, etc. So there are options, but there are legal processes that needs to be followed. It's not a no, you can't do it.
Yeah.
It's just that you just need to follow the legal process. And through the legal process, the government, for example, the Department of Environment, the Forest Department, the mining unit, they assess the project. Right? They assess what you want to do, and we would approve a project with mitigation measures in place, so that then the project that you have the least amount of negative impact on the environment. So it's not to say no, it's just to go through the process so that we take into consideration the impacts that the project will have, and then we allow you to mitigate those impacts.
How much land is being used or being filled with this solid waste based on your assessment?
Well, it's a considerable amount. We haven't done a complete assessment at this point. It's just an observation. Everything in science starts with an observation, and then you collect the data and you come up with a solution. And so this has to be done in terms of curbing this behavior. Has to be done with the San Pedro Town Council, and we have met with them. They are on board, and they are quite happy that the office is there. But also with the Public Health Department has a key role to play in this as well. And so we've reached out to them, and that we want to collaborate with all the key agencies in San Pedro to effect the change that we want to see.
What does the initial engagement look like between the department and developers who wish to perhaps erect a beach side structure or an over-the-water structure on the island?
Yeah. Well, there are different, in my opinion and experience, there are different types of investors. There are some investors that genuinely understand the environmental concern and genuinely have a passion for environmental protection, and so develops or come with a proposal that is environmentally sound, right? So when they come to us, they say, listen, I want to follow the process. I want you to guide this project so that the project has the least amount of negative impact on the environment. So those are the type of the developers that we appreciate, and again, we would hope to get more of. But then there are other classification or type of investors that they just want to, again, do everything with the minimum of cost, maximizing profit. And so they don't really care about the environment. They don't want to go through any of the processes, etc. But so far, I think the relationship has been good. There are 2 sides of what we do, right? So we are a permitting agency, and so we grant environmental clearance, and investors normally work with us, but we also conduct compliance monitoring and enforcement. And when we enforce the laws on investors, that's you're
the bad guys.
Yeah, we are the bad guys, and that creates some problem for them. But notwithstanding, the officers in San Pedro have a duty to enforce the environmental laws, and maybe this is a good opportunity for me to ask the residents in San Pedro, Key Kaka, and in this case even Key Chapel, for them to be cognizant of that and to treat the officers with the respect that they do. They are just doing their duty. It's not, in terms of enforcement, it's not personal, it's just that, again, things needs to be corrected and environmental violation needs to be addressed.
Yeah. What can people be fined for, or sort of penalties may they face in certain circumstances?
So the EPA was around 1991, 92 when it was passed, very progressive. Right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the environmental legislations, they don't have a lot of ministerial discretion, and so it was progressive in terms of the decision-making powers given to the Chief Environmental Officer under the law was something unheard of back then, right? Most of the legislation had at the discretion of the minister. So that was one of the things that I think was very good with the legislation. The second thing is that the environmental legislation has the highest penalties for offenses compared to other natural resources legislation. Our penalties goes all the way up to 200,000.
Wow.
There are penalties for between 50,000 and 100,000, and then 25,000 to 50,000 and 5,000 to 25,000. All of our penalties have a ceiling and a flooring, which was again progressive back then, where if we would take you to court, the magistrate can charge you below a certain amount, right? So, for example, if someone would be using garbage to fill their property in San Pedro, we could classify that as establishing an illegal dump site. The penalty for that is nothing below $5,000.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one would imagine, though, that there's a process to it, perhaps an entire legal process.
Indeed. So again, it starts by collecting the evidence, right? And so first, when we go to a property, we need to find out who owns that property, right? So once we get that information, we collect the evidence that we need, we develop the charge sheet, and then we go to court, we get someone to prosecute the matter. But again, if the officers that we have in the Department of Environment are trained, they know how to do this, and they understand that in any court case, 90% of the work goes towards preparation. And then 10% is actually in court defending or prosecuting the matter. Yeah.
And that's usually something that I think a lot of people tend to avoid because of the process itself and how long it takes. Do you guys find yourselves in these situations frequently where you're taking the individuals to court to be fined because of these issues? Yeah,
well, before 2009 we did. We amended the Environmental Protection Act in 2009, and we included provisions to allow the department to settle matter out of court. So that has made it a bit easier in terms of resolving environmental matters. There is a process that needs to be taken. So, for example, if there's a violation, again, we would inform the violators that there is this provision to settle the matter outside of court. So then the person has a decision to make. The person wants to go to court, because we could do that, or if they want to settle administratively, they need to write to us indicating so, and then I need to, as the Chief Environmental Officer, discuss that with our legal counsel, our attorney, and with the minister, and together we decide if it is something that we could entertain.
Is the DOE a body that frequently collaborates with other organizations that also share the same mandate in protecting the environment?
Yes, yes we are. In fact, the National Environmental Appraisal Committee, which is the committee that reviews EIA and advises the department whether to grant environmental clearance for these large projects or not, has 16 membership, right? And the 16 membership are from all the natural resources management government institution. It also includes 2 NGOs. It includes academia, and of recently it includes Ministry of Trade, the Financial Secretary, etc. So the composition then lends to cooperation, coordination, etc. But our internal processes and procedures has been developed such that we do this on a regular basis. So, for example, if we would go and do a compliance monitoring inspection, we normally do it jointly. So we invite the Forest Department, the Mining Unit, the Fisheries Department. Normally, it's a team of people that go out and we assess together. And then we get advice from them in terms of, for example, the Mining Unit would say, well, I have this issue with regards to mining, etc., and then we look at it holistically.
One would suggest that with the increase in development on Ambergris Key, that environmental clearance or approvals are being dished out left, right, and center. Is that a misconception there? Like, how long does it take for a developer to actually get that approval? Is that a misconception?
Well, it is because, just to be clear, the mandate of the office in San Pedro is a couple of things. One, they are to focus on compliance monitoring and enforcement because that's a big thing. We need to ensure that the projects that we have granted environmental clearance to are operating in accordance with the provisions and the conditions that we give them. The second thing is they are to engage in public awareness activities to educate the people within their jurisdiction on the importance of protecting the environment and on what the environmental laws are saying in regards to certain things. The third thing is to conduct training. So, for example, training on how to issue a littering ticket on any matter related to the environment. And then they are to advise the San Pedro Town Council and the Kikaka Village Council on any matter related to the environment. So any project that requires environmental clearance still has to come to Belmopan.
Okay.
Right? So the responsibility of the office is separate, right? And that's a critical issue for management, right? And so as the Chief Environmental Officer, I need to know that the processes to grant environmental clearance are being followed in accordance with the law. And so we decided that, again, that responsibility for now cannot be given to a sub-office. It has to remain in San Pedro.
So
but normally, in terms of time frame, there are 3 processes through which environmental clearance are granted. One is through the environmental impact assessment process. Processes are for the larger project. Normally, the process takes around 7 to 8 months, or 6 to 7 months, because again, we need to go through public consultation. Well, first, a terms of reference needs to be approved. The investor has to hire an environmental consultant to go out and conduct the study, write the report, and there's a series of processes. Then the next step is referred to as a limited level environmental study, which is a kind of smaller in scope to the EIA.
Yeah.
And again, in terms of Belize being the leader in environmental management, the limited level environmental study idea is only done in Belize. So no other country in this region has that kind of approach. And then thirdly, there are type of projects that are small in nature that doesn't require any type of study. And so we conduct an environmental risk assessment. And then based on that, we develop mitigation measures to kind of reduce the impact of those risks.
So what do you say to San Pedro residents today who's seen this development on the island in terms of a new building, greater presence, and there may be concerns, perhaps, fears that, the environmental police and the conflict will know. But based on this conversation, I understand it to be more of a collaborative effort you're seeking.
It is. And in fact, our approach to enforcement has never been hard-fisted, right? Has never been just bring down the hammer.
Yeah, right.
Our approach is, the officers would go to an establishment, conduct a compliance monitoring inspection, and the way that is done is each project that is granted environmental clearance has a document stating so, and then it has all the conditions. So the officer will visit the establishment, go through the condition with the manager, walk around the facility, and then determine if this compliance status of the development. So for example, if they would say, okay, you're in non-compliance with 5 issues, we would write to the developer and say, okay, we found these 5 issues to be non-compliance, and we give a reasonable time frame for them to fix the problem. Now, if we write to you 3-4 times saying fix the problem and you don't fix it, then the enforcement then comes in stronger. And then we issue what is referred to as an enforcement notice, which is a strong legal tool that instructs and informs that this needs to be done within a specific period of time. And if you don't do it, then that's penalty. Then we go to court. Then you get charged. So it's a working relationship with investors.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, sure.
Well, Mr. Mai, this has been quite an informative conversation. I want to say thank you so much for joining us. Let's use this opportunity to inform our viewers in San Pedro of the location, one, and of course how they can get in touch with the DOE.
Sure. So the office has been open. It's close to the bridge going north of San Pedro, and apologies, I don't remember right now the name of the road or the street. But again, we erected a sign, so when you're driving towards the bridge going north of San Pedro, there's a sign that says the Department of Environment. And our office is on the third floor. Again, the office is available for anyone to visit, and you could call in, you could check our website. We have the email for the office and the phone number for the office. And again, we could address complaints along with public health. We could look at development, etc., and advise on different matters.
Excellent. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we wish you guys all the best.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to the folks from the Elections and Boundaries Department about the upcoming by-elections. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Full-Tech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
13,835,700 eggs are eaten by tourists each year, fueling our thriving economy. Tourism means business.
Get ready for the most electrifying season yet. KTV The Remix Season 6 premieres on June 25th with the audition show. Who will walk away with bragging rights and the $10,000 grand prize? Tune in to find out. The excitement begins at 8 p.m. on Channel 5 and our streaming platforms. And it doesn't stop there. On July 2nd, the bliss comes alive once again with the live show starting at 8 p.m. KTV The Remix Season 6, where dreams become reality. Don't miss it, right here on Channel 5.
I'm connected. Yo.
I'm connected.
We're connected.
Create the perfect broadband bundle that fits your style with Smart Connect. With the Junior Bundle, get 50% off your national calls and up to 6 gigabytes of data at no extra cost. Get postpaid added on for an additional cost of only $25 with the Prime Bundle. Stay connected with unlimited smart-to-smart calls plus 6,300 megabytes of data and free international minutes. For the family, get the Binge Watchers bundle with Netflix add-on for only $28.13 more. This bundle gives you 4 profiles with unlimited streaming on multiple devices. Visit a showroom near you to sign up and personalize your own bundle combination with Smart Connect. Smart, bringing people together.
Welcome back. This is our second conversation for this morning, and it's all about the elections and boundaries and some of the processes, the information you need to be aware of for the upcoming by-election in Toledo East. Yes, that's right. And we have in with us to give us all the details, Miss Alma Middleton, who's the Acting Assistant Chief Elections Officer.
Good
Alma,
morning.
good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome.
Thank you
Yes,
very
this
much.
is your first time
Yes.
on Open Your Eyes.
Yes, I guess so. Yes.
Yes, it's good to have you on set with us. So, first of all, let's talk a bit about the fact that a date has been set for the by-election in Toledo East, and after that date was set, what did that trigger for the Elections and Boundaries Department?
Well, first and foremost, we should remember that the reason for having a by-election in Toledo is because of the untimely demise of Honorable Michael spot.
Yeah.
Those, once that happens, the seat has to be filled.
In a time period.
Yes, in a time period. That was the reason that once we hear something like that, it is like we are full-fledged, we need to start to plan.
Okay. Right.
And it doesn't need, as soon as we know that something like this happens, we are full-fledged.
You don't need a date.
Planning. No, we don't need a date. We just need to start to plan.
Wow.
What does that planning look like after you receive an announcement like that, Ms. Middleton?
Things like logistics. You
Okay.
need to get officers. And you should remember that it's like deja vu. We just went through an election, municipal elections.
Right.
So we were all there busy for months planning from December running into March. And then this happens, and we're all again getting ready once again into another election. To me, I want to say it's like a general election, a mini general elections, because the rules of contention at a municipal election, at every election, something different happens. So whatever engagement you have with an election, something different you need to abide with. Similar, but different.
So when it comes to the by-election in Toledo East, you've mentioned that as soon as you've received reports, official reports of the passing of a sitting here representative, that triggers action. So you didn't even have to wait for a date. So you didn't have to wait for the Prime Minister or through the Governor General to say, decree that July 17th is the day for a by-election in Toledo East.
Yes, you have to remember also that you need to, the backbone of running an elections are public officers. And then because it involves officers, in the Toledo district per se, it would be better to get persons
that
from
are
there,
closer.
Closer. And then also remember that we already had people trained for municipal, so it's supposed to be the information in their minds still there.
Yeah.
So it would be, if we do any sort of training, it would be a brush up for them. We, as part of our planning, you need to look at the officers that were working there. As a matter of fact, we already had meetings with political parties which were held yesterday. We had meetings with the returning and election clerks. By the way, Ms. Therese Martinez, she will be the returning officer for Toledo East. She was the person in charge of the municipal elections here in Belize City. Then we have Marion Alberto. He will be one of the election clerks. Because of how the expanse that Toledo East has from Bella Vista to villages, if you know, well acquainted with Toledo District, villages like from Barranco, the area, the geographical area is far from one another. Those are the reasons that we had 2 election officers, and then we have...
So you need more persons because of that.
Venancio Ac. So one is from the Finance Department, one is from the Treasury Department. Ms. Therese Martinez is from the Customs Department. So those are the persons. Once the writ of election was issued by the Governor General, you need to have persons return to run an election, so be in charge of appointed to run an election. So those are the 3 persons that will be the ones will be running that election.
Let's jump to yesterday's meeting before we speak about some of the details regarding the by-election. Let's jump to yesterday's meeting. Why is it important to meet with all parties involved, including the political officers?
Stakeholders are very important when it comes to election. Everybody needs to be well informed. With political parties, this establishes we need to be on the same page. And what happens is that at a political party with the chief elections officer, she was the one sitting on that head table, is that when it comes, you need to get to an agreement, nomination time. And for the first time, we have the People's National Party being nominated from 10 to 11, which we used to give them the slot at 12 to 1. Then you have from 11 till 1, we have the People's United Party, and from 1 to 2, the independent candidates, and then from 2 to 4, you have the United Democratic Party. So it's established. So we have a set time for those political parties to come. Up to now, we know that on nomination day, which would be the 2nd of July, that would be next week, we will know exactly if we have anyone else joining. I would doubt so. But
so you don't necessarily know that during the meeting, like not or it's not everybody that has declared themselves as it.
Suppose you decide to
Yeah.
put down your name.
I know.
Who knows?
On the
As a
2nd of July.
surprise.
The surprise, yeah.
Yeah. So, so that's a part of what's discussed at that meeting.
Yes.
Is there anything else that is brushed over, glossed over during those meetings?
Also establishment of runners or polling agents. For instance, polling agents, at polling you have not more than 2 persons per polling station there, and then for counting not more than 3, right? So you could have 1, 2, or 3, but you don't want the place overcrowded. For instance, also concerning that, we also have published counting stations, polling stations. They need to know all of that. The Toledo Community College will be the counting station for this one. And remember, there for persons that are registered in Punta Gorda, and this for the general public, they need to know. For the ones that do not know, but polling area 109 in the Toledo, in Punta Gorda town, is divided in 2.
Okay.
So 109 would be 109 by itself and 109 Indianville. So it's like the town divided in 2. Right?
So how many polling areas will there, stations
10.
will there be? 10,
yes.
For this by-election?
10. And that comprises, that would be 10 because the 109 is divided into 109 and 109 in Indianville. So then you would have 109A, 110, and 112. That's 2. Then you have 111 and 112A, 3. Then you have 113, then you have 115, 116, 117, 118, and 119. That comprises the 10.
Are you able to say how many registered voters are in Toledo?
I was going to get that. But also take into consideration that the closing date has recently passed where persons
I was going
could
to ask,
move their votes from one place to another.
Who can vote as well?
Good question. For the general public also, persons that registered up to the 10th of June will be able to vote in this by-election. If you do happen that, I don't remember, the 10th was a Monday thing. If you came on the 11th and then you want to cast your vote on that day, you will be unable, meaning that the law says persons on nomination day on the list will be able to vote on the by-election in Toledo East.
So essentially, if you tried to re-register in a different location on the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th,
unable.
You would not be able
it's
to
just
vote
futile. You're
in
wasting
this
your time.
by-election.
Yes. One other thing, you mentioned something about transferring, because I know we had our officers here concerning transfer. That would be until July and August, so that's a different.
That's a different period.
Different
so
period,
how many registered voters are in
something around close to 8,000.
Close to 8,000.
Yes.
Okay, that's a significant number. So
7,500 to close to 8,000.
So transfer period is July and August. So no need to worry yourself with that, other than to say that even if July comes and you decide, because the election is July 17th, so if you decide you want to be a part of the transfer period in July and transfer to Toledo East, that will not get you in time to vote in the July 17th by-election, just to be clear.
Yes, the misconception is that, the election is going to be the 17th of July. I still have time because
July 1st.
Yes. But at elections and boundaries, there's a cyclical period from the 10th of a month to the 11th of the month, to the following month.
That's what we learned when they came on the show,
I guess my officers have discussed it with you ad nauseum.
Yeah.
So you guys can work with us now. You know exactly what happens.
Indeed.
At elections and boundaries, the misconception is that we only work during election.
Yes.
It's not like that. We have a continuous process. You go there, we are busy bees. Right now we're conducting community outreaches just to capture the population out there. Every day someone is 18 years old. But going back to what you said, having that cyclical period, at the 11th, we still have to go. We have an objection time from the 11th to the 25th that people need to object to that list. Okay, your name was not in the list for whatever reason. You do not live at the given address, things like that. We need to go to the court anytime after the 25th. For instance, today is the 25th. So today is the cutoff date for the list countrywide. So anyone could object to that list and say, oh, this person does not live at the given address. Come this evening at 5 and nobody objected, that list for Toledo East is good to go. And we're praying that there are no objections.
Let's talk a bit about the voting process now, to remind viewers what that process is like. I know municipal elections just went, but then the general elections was almost 4 years ago.
2020?
2020.
Under COVID protocols?
Yes,
Yeah.
OMG, that was horrible, right? But let's remind our voters, especially those in Toledo East, what the process is like, and because I know that your name will be on a list when you go in there and they cross your name off. So if your name is not on that list, then...
We're advising everyone that's going to the polls on the 17th of July in Toledo to please take along the ID cards. It facilitates the process. And we're begging, because...
People go without their ID cards?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Then question why their names aren't on the list.
Yes, that's one of the things. And then, for instance, the same thing that we discussed just now. They take the receipt that they registered after the 10th, and then I have a receipt. And then that's one of the things also that we have to let the election officers know. You look at this date, you're wasting your time looking into a binder because the person simply doesn't qualify. Those are one of the things that you have to be vigilant at the polls. But other than that, we're asking for everyone that will be going to the polls to take along their voters' identification
I think
card.
this is a great opportunity for us to look at the different means of voting for persons who might not be able to be there in person, but they know that their name will be on that list. Let's talk about that.
You're talking about proxy voters? Okay. Proxy voters is a person that votes on behalf of another one. For right now, we could recall the categories of persons that allow someone else to vote. That would be persons on the consulate, working the capacity in a consulate. This would also include police officers working the capacity in other jurisdiction duties. Then we have the police, we have the Police Defense Force, we have the members of the Coast Guard. We also have persons that are working the elections, would be drivers' capacity of, and then election officers, or 6 categories that people that vote. And remember that you can only appoint one person to vote. You can't get 2 persons to vote.
So how does that process work? How do I appoint somebody to vote, and how is it verified through your process that that person is actually the person I've selected?
For instance, to start with, you apply under form number 15, and then you select the persons. For instance, your wife. You are working in Barranco, and then both of you are registered in Barranco. You need to put, and then you apply to the Chief Elections Officer, form 14, and it comes. We check that the person is duly registered, and you get the signature of the Justice of the Peace. That would be for the persons working the election. For the armed forces, which would be BDF and the police, and we get a signature from their persons that can authorize them to sign, because he can be coming over every day to sign, but we get a signature from him. So.
Must the person you select also be a registered voter in the constituency?
Yes, it needs to be a registered person.
So it cannot be somebody coming from outside?
And then the other thing is the person has to be 18 years old, sound mind, and be registered. So
if I am somebody who's faced with some sort of disability, does this also come into consideration for me?
Yes, I was going to mention that incapacitated voters we're talking about.
Yes.
When the person comes would be under the purview of the election officer working, and then you can see the person, if the person is blind or cannot write. This put one of the dampers on us, because for you to decide, he cannot write, he can't vote.
You're taking their rights away.
So it would be under the purview of the election officer, and then the elector will select someone to vote on his behalf. So that would
so it's about inclusivity, right? Because if I'm visually impaired and I say I want to go and cast my vote, and I feel like it's my right to go, but I cannot necessarily, I'm visually impaired. I know who I want to vote for because I've heard the candidates. I know it all. They've actually come to campaign at my house. But when I get there, I need some assistance. You know, do I bring somebody to assist me? Will you provide somebody to assist me? And what would that assistance look like? Because I won't be denied my right to cast my vote.
Usually, this is a very touchy
one would imagine.
And then you, basically, whenever on election day, we will have quite a few. I want to not use this loosely and for persons to abuse it. But you select a person, probably we'll use the example of visually impaired. Okay, I am registered, I want to vote, and I will bring my brother to vote for me. I trust him. So come along with me, I will tell him what I need. Because you are voting on behalf of that person.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if you're going to do what I said, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that person has to trust that you will do exactly what they said.
And remember that now in this country, elections can be one by one. And you notice that Belizeans are highly litigious now. That we are not dormant anymore. Right. We're going to take you to court for
and the Elections and Boundaries Department stands as a protector of that process.
Yes, we are proud vanguards of the electoral process.
Indeed, indeed. Now, so we've discussed a lot of interesting points when it comes to the elections. What sort of preparations are public officers undergoing for July 17th? I would imagine there's a lot of work to be done in terms of setting up and that entire day of work. Sometimes I see public officers on that day and I shake my head like, man, I think I'm working hard, you guys are working just as hard.
And then they're out there the entire process, from the
start
until the last ballot is counted. Sure.
I always thought that I wanted to be on the other side of the fence. Because we do the work inside, and we divorce ourselves and give it to you. Pass the baton to you, and you need to run this election. When public officer, as a matter of fact, tomorrow Wednesday, we're going to have the first training of public officers in the Toledo district. So we already have selected a cadre of well-versed public officers that will be running this election. The last by-election was held when the YWCA in Corozal Pasa, which was run similarly at the same time with the municipal elections of 2021. So we already have that. Remember that, like I said, a cadre of public officers have already been chosen. Tomorrow is the training, meaning that from now on, they're full-fledged working. They need to do checks at their polling stations. They need to go and see that it has lighting, that it has facilities, water. It's not left to us. They have to do that. Because on election day, we have females, you need to use the bathroom, things like that.
And then it's not the time to figure that out.
That's not the time to figure that out. And remember also Toledo rains a lot. I think right now it's pouring. Yes, so things like that, we need to be vigilant when it comes floodings, things like that. But we're praying that nothing like that happens. No?
I know. Just based on your explanation, this seems really like just a mini general election.
Exactly. I like to call it that. They laugh at me, but I say we're running it's for us. Let's go back in retrospect. We had the 2020 general elections, COVID protocols, under COVID protocols. It's not good to knock your own chest, but I think we did wonderful. Similarly, so when the municipal elections came, it was like a walk in the park for us. We knew we had all protocols in line, so we knew. So for when it comes to things like that, we are fully prepared. Logistics, trainings. That doesn't mean we will not have subsequent training with public officers, political parties, the police, the high-ranking officers of the police department, but we are 99.9% ready for this.
Well, I think this is a great opportunity then to remind our viewers that will be eligible to vote in Toledo East, the process that takes place. When they walk in that yard, they must have their IDs on hand. If not, if they're on the list, they're still eligible to vote. What happens after that?
Remember that the polls open at 7 and close at 6. So Belizeans like to go and vote on the 11th hour, right?
Time, evening.
No idea why. Probably they like the pomp and circumstance out there, right?
At the end, right?
Yes.
Join the crowd.
And they see the sun, and they want to see how many persons are on the line.
It should be a beautiful experience.
Yes. So remember that at 6 o'clock, the police officer will be at the line. So if the line is from here to the gate, you will be able to cast your vote. Once at 6 o'clock the police officer is there posted, then you will be able to cast your vote.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Any more questions?
Well, we're about to wrap up this conversation only because we're out of time, but we truly appreciate you coming on set and really basically breaking down and explaining this process to us, which based on what you've shared is very similar to the process for general elections, and this really is to encourage voters to come out and vote, because the important thing is that these events are held for voters to exercise their rights. Any final thoughts or closing comments?
Well, I just want to remind the businesses that have employees to send their employees to go out to vote on election day. The polls are open at 7, close at 6. Your vote counts. So you always have a say when it comes to affairs of the country, of the jewel called Belize.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Alma. We appreciate you taking time out of the busy schedule of the folks over at the Elections and Boundaries, and we wish you guys all the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the invite.
All right, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, the conversation switches into Officer Cadet selection for the United States Coast Guard.
Benny's is kicking off Father's Day with popping deals for dad. In the month of June, visit a Benny's near you and get store-wide discounts on selected items such as Milwaukee and Axie Power Tools, Char-Broil Barbecue Grills, car care products, Karcher pressure washers, and much, much more. Make dad happy with popping deals for dad in June, only at Benny's.
Benny's, Benny's, oh, Benny's, Benny's. Benny's, Benny's.
Get ready for the most electrifying season yet. KTV The Remix Season 6 premieres on June 25th with the audition show. Who will walk away with bragging rights and the $10,000 grand prize? Tune in to find out. The excitement begins at 8 p.m. on Channel 5 and our streaming platforms. And it doesn't stop there. On July 2nd, the bliss comes alive once again with the live show starting at 8 p.m. KTV The Remix Season 6, where dreams become reality. Don't miss it, right here on Channel 5.
Do you know how to choose the best engine oil for your car? We believe the best engine oil should provide optimal performance and ultimate protection for longer. For Quartz engine oil, our engineers have formulated age resistance technology, also known as ART. It's a breakthrough innovation. The interaction between oil molecules is increased, creating a super resistant molecular structure. So whatever the conditions, it helps to prevent the lubricant protective film from breaking. Any engine is exposed to harsh conditions: extreme temperature and pressure, friction, sludge accumulation. The molecular structure of Quartz with ART stays strong to perfectly lubricate and protect engine parts in all conditions. And the results are outstanding. Protection against sludge buildup improved by 18%. Protection against mechanical wear improved by 74%. Thanks to Quartz with ART, save on maintenance and preserve your engine's power. So next time you wonder which engine oil to use, choose performance and protection that lasts longer. Quartz with age resistance technology. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Hi, my name is Lincoln Forrest and I work at UMAL. 100% I will recommend Belize Bank mobile banking to everyone because it saves time, money and gas price, because gas price is high right now. Belize Bank mobile banking just make life easier.
Welcome back, guys. We're having our third conversation this morning, and as we mentioned, it's all about the officer cadet selection process currently being done by the United States Coast Guard. Now we have here with us Vice Commandant of the Belize Coast Guard, Alma Pinello, to talk to us about it. Good morning, Ms. Pinello, and welcome.
Thank you.
Now, I think this is a great opportunity for us to jump in first on the way that you were recruited into the Coast Guard, or the way that you were selected into the Coast Guard in the first place. You mentioned that you were also a part of this recruitment process, the training that took place in the United States. Let's talk about your experience.
All right. Good morning. Morning, Belize. I joined through the Officer Cadet program, just like we're talking about here. It's a selection process that happens very often, and it's a way that you can get into security forces, either the Belize Defense Force or the Coast Guard. So at the time, it was 2008 in December, and the Coast Guard was just forming. So I actually came through the BDF first. And then I did the Officer Cadet selection, which was a 2-day process. You do different aptitude tests, you do academic tests, you do obstacle courses, physical tests, obviously, to kind of see your potential as an officer. I sat with a bunch of Belizeans that I vaguely remember at this point, but it was similar to what we do now. So you take Belizeans either already enrolled in the Coast Guard or regular civilians, and you see what their potential is, if they have the potential to be an officer, particularly because this caters towards 18 to 23-year-olds. So you're young.
Okay.
Yeah. You're either right out of high school or right out of college, SJC, any associate's level, because the requirement is the associate's level to become an officer or commissioned officer in the Coast Guard.
What is the difference between this training and the recruitment process that would generally take place from the cadet, from the Coast Guard?
Or a commissioned officer and a non-commissioned officer.
Yes. So we have two brackets, the enlisted bracket and the commissioned officer. Sometimes they also call the non-commissioned officer NCOs.
Okay.
And that is where you go through basic recruitment. So it's when you do that 3-month program, you come in and then we have the big graduation in November.
Okay.
Coming in as a commissioned officer, you do a commissioning course. These ones in particular are 4 years, and they give you your commission as an officer and a bachelor's degree.
Wow.
So that's why we're trying to target Belizeans between a certain age.
I wanted to go back, though, before we move forward, the seeking of potential in this process. What sort of potential are we looking for?
We want leaders, that have a outgoing personality, that are, critical thinkers that are able to think outside the box and see a situation and be able to come up with a solution quickly. And even if maybe they don't reach that final, you know, we put them to a test and say they can't make it to the end, but they still are showing their thought process. They're able to communicate and articulate properly, are confident. And even if they fail in certain things, there's always room for improvement. But it's that leadership aptitude that we're looking for to be able to then send to train and then mold to become a future Belize Coast Guard officer.
Is there a physical exam during
Always.
this process? I would imagine. I was like, how did you gloss over that?
It is. So we do our physical fitness test, and that is a 1.5-mile run, and we have a time period for males. It's 10:30, and for women at that age range, it's about the same, about 11:30.
What's the deal breaker here? Is it the leadership test or the physical test?
Well, in order to be selected, you have to pass the selection on a whole. And normally we start with the physical portion of it, and that's a pass or fail. And then we move towards everything else has an average. So in order for us to be able to say, okay, this is the person we select, we look at it like an exam. Okay, this is your average for the whole two-day event.
In terms of this opportunity, does it arise often? Is it a part of the recruitment process?
Well, this one comes once a year. We are trying to get to the airwaves and TV waves more in order to entice Belizeans more. We have used the Facebook, but that doesn't seem to bring the number of candidates that we would like.
Is there a cap on the number of candidates that can attend this
At this
training?
point, no. We have to select one person, so obviously it's one for each. So it is very competitive in that sense, but we don't necessarily cap. So if we'd have 10 people, we'll allow the 10 people to come in. If it's 20, I mean, we would vet and screen their applications first, but for the most part, there isn't. They would need to make certain criteria for sure.
Yeah.
Can you be an enlisted officer and join this program?
You can transition, but this particular program that we're talking about, we're trying to get people from outside the Coast Guard, so people that are not in the Coast Guard currently.
Okay.
We need certain requirements, so the Coast Guard Academy and the U.S. Naval Academy are very particular with their entry requirements. So that means that we need to apply as if we were an American applying to that school. So that means we need SAT and ACT scores.
Yeah, talk a bit about that because we're here talking about leadership qualities, physical traits, but then there's an academic component.
There is an academic requirement that this school is one of the more particular ones, and it's one of, or especially these two maritime schools are one of the best academies in the U.S., just colleges and universities. If you take a look at online and Google, you'd see they're within the top 50 schools in the United States on a whole.
Wow.
So it is quality education that you're getting, but the entry-level requirements are a little more difficult.
Yeah.
So the SAT scores, I think, is 600 in math and 600 in English, and the ACT, which is what I took, you need to get a 26 in math and a 27 in English.
Does that requirement then perhaps narrows down or limit your options?
It does. Last year when we tried to do this recruitment, we didn't get the scores for the ACT and SAT in time. So even if someone is looking at this and maybe they're not of the age yet, maybe they're still 16 or 17, it is something that we do every year. So it is definitely something that they can say, pin, this is what I want to do, and then make sure that they take those tests, because without that, we can't allow the person to even do the online application, because then they'll have the most important thing missing.
Where do you take the tests?
I know that they do it at SJC.
Okay.
At the ACT. I'm not sure if they actually do SATs in Belize, but
I
definitely.
think, no, you'd perhaps have to go to the U.S. to do your SATs.
But the ACT, which is the academic American college test, you can do at SJC.
Yeah.
Which is just as doable as the ACTs.
Yes.
Yes. I wanna talk really quickly though about your experience that you would have had. You mentioned that doing this training for the 4-year period is equivalent to a bachelor's degree.
Yes.
Let's talk about the things that you learned in your experience.
So it's definitely a different college experience. We talk about that a lot now, where it's comparing your life to what it could have been if you went to a regular university. They give you a lot more than just education. You know, you go through every year, you do a different level of training. You do, every year it gets more and more, and you do more hands-on. I did get a lot of chance to travel because you work during your summers as a part of the Coast Guard program. So I was deployed for 2.5 months, and then you get the rest of the time for the summer. So I was really only home for 3 weeks. But the rest of the summer you're doing on-the-job training, so you kind of never stop. One summer I was, my friend and I got a deployment to Sector San Juan in San Juan, Puerto Rico, so we were there for, 12 weeks. So that wasn't really a bad job.
Of course not.
I mean, you make friends for life, and you start this networking where you have friends in the Coast Guard. Even though you go as an international cadet, you still get to interact with Americans and other international cadets from all over this region. So it's really I wouldn't trade it for the world, you know, looking back. I did gain a lot of knowledge, you gain a lot of friends, a lot of experience, and you grow and you mature.
What doors did it then open for you returning?
Of course, it puts you in that, I am an alum of this school. You know, the Coast Guard Academy is a lot smaller. The U.S. Naval Academy is a huge school. It's a beautiful campus in Annapolis, Maryland. But they do put you on that map that you're an alum of this school, and then you always have those opportunities. I still get, from American counterparts and the workers here at the U.S. Embassy, they're like, oh, you're a United States Coast Guard alum, and you kind of start that conversation, so it's great for networking.
In terms of the trainings you receive during the 4 years, what are the different components? Are we also talking physical training as well as academic?
Yes, well, at the academies you do have to sit a physical fitness exam every semester. So you have to always pass that, and you get different on the job. So if you're working towards, okay, we're going to work on a ship, so then you get navigation, you get how to plot on the charts, you get to practice your communication, your briefing. At some points you get to do the simulators that are there, that are simulators of actual ships. So you get to work on different aspects that will eventually lead you to your first job as an officer, which is what we call a deck watch officer, which is something that we're aspiring to when we get, hopefully we get our patrol boats, and those are the type of jobs that we want as Coast Guard officers, as naval officers. So you work towards that.
Were you able to return and impart a good chunk of your knowledge to your fellow Coast Guards?
Yes and no. In transitioning back to Belize, I came back in 2013, and you see the big differences, and it was a little bit of a shock in the sense of, I trained on these boats, but we don't have that, so it's a huge transition.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, welcome back home. And you have to transition to knowing so much of one Coast Guard, and then transitioning to one I didn't really know much about. So I kind of started all over, but you still find those similarities and things where you can adapt. You don't want to reinvent the wheel, so you try to make things better by using something you already learned.
That's quite important.
What's the deadline for the application process?
So August 1st, we have our flyer, which if we haven't left, we will leave with you. And we need the complete package, so we would like already the ACT or SAT scores, copy of the police record, just a short resume and an application letter written by the person as to why they would want to join the Coast Guard or be an officer. And obviously they need to be able to learn how to know how to swim and be physically fit. And if we could get them sent to the Coast Guard email, or even dropped off at the Coast Guard headquarters, and then with the phone numbers that are there, then we'd be able to make calls and let them know when the time.
Am I seeing correctly there that there seems to be like 9 different options for studies?
So for studies,
so it's not just you go there and go
so
to
your
one
bachelor's degree is something that you could choose, and these schools are very heavy on STEM, which is great. Especially the U.S. Naval Academy has a line of maybe like 10 different engineering programs.
There are several majors you can engage in.
Aerospace engineering, civil engineering, chemical engineering. There is the humanities, where they do a government. There is marine environmental science, which is what I did at the Coast Guard Academy. So there's different options, and those are available online. So they will be able to see, okay, this is what I would like to do. And then obviously that would be able to guide them in their application process, given that they do get selected. Because once we select them, then the person will have to go and physically apply online.
This is an amazing opportunity.
It
I
is.
think this is an opportunity not only to further your education, but to also know that you have a secure job, that you can use your degree when you come back as well. So I'm hoping that our viewers would take advantage of this opportunity. As you mentioned, the deadline is August 1st. Of course, you have to have all the details that you mentioned in your package as well. So I'm hoping that you guys are tuning in. And if you're interested in joining the Coast Guard, this is an excellent way to enter into it. So thank you so much, Alma, for joining us.
Thanks
all
for
the
having
best.
me. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take our final break, and when we come back, the conversation is all about YWCA's summer sessions. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Benny's is kicking off Father's Day with popping deals for dad. In the month of June, visit a Benny's near you and get store-wide discounts on selected items such as Milwaukee and Axie power tools, Char-Broil barbecue grills, car care products, Karcher pressure washers, and much, much more. Make dad happy with popping deals for dad in June, only at Benny's.
Benny's, Benny's, oh, Benny's, Benny's. Benny's, Benny's.
My name is Leomar Langzert and I'm a teacher and I bank with Belize Bank Independence Branch. What I enjoy is the safety features that the app offers. I have a sense of not having to worry or be concerned about somebody finding my password and username to sign in the application because of the use of the one-time password. And another feature that I love, that I use the most, is how the app synchronizes with my fingerprint on my device. I enjoy the rapid and easy, seamless process to apply for loans through the Belize Bank, and I don't have to be having too much back and forth to visit or take time to visit the bank. They also start to offer the online applications through the app for loan applications, which I believe is very neat. I would definitely recommend Belize Bank to other teachers because one of all the features and advantages that the app offer. With these online that Belize Bank offered is basically everything that you can do in the palm of your hand. So I would definitely recommend the bank to other teachers.
The Mega Bingo Progressive Jackpot is going up. You don't want to miss the next show. This Wednesday, June 26th, you can win a whopping $477,025. All that cash might have your name on it. That money can surely change your life. And it only takes one $2 Mega Bingo ticket. Make sure you get yours and tune into the next show airing on Channel 5 and Love FM at 8 p.m. Or catch the game online on Facebook or YouTube. Just search for Belize Mega Bingo. This is the chance of a lifetime, so don't miss it. The jackpot can be yours. And remember, Mega Bingo is the game.
Unwrap the joy of crystal clear picture and sound from Iowa, the brand that offers you affordability and exceptional quality. Iowa has a wide range of exceptional products to choose from, such as TVs, speakers, headphones, home appliances, and much more at affordable prices that won't break the bank. Enhance your audio-visual entertainment experience with Iowa, and for your convenience, parts are readily available in country for hassle-free maintenance. You can find Iowa products at your local electronics store countrywide. Choose Iowa, the best in home entertainment and household appliances.
Get ready for the most electrifying season yet. KTV The Remix Season 6 premieres on June 25th with the audition show. who will walk away with bragging rights and the $10,000 grand prize. Tune in to find out. The excitement begins at 8 p.m. on Channel 5 and our streaming platforms. And it doesn't stop there. On July 2nd, the bliss comes alive once again with the live show starting at 8 p.m. KTV The Remix Season 6, where dreams become reality. Don't miss it, right here on Channel 5.
This plan, I can't leave this plan. Smart Belize.
Hey there, smart thinkers. We're turbocharging your mobile experience with Smart's powered up postpaid plans. Imagine a world where your data speeds flows faster than ever. Well, guess what? We've cranked up the dial and unleashed the postpaid power of Smart's lightning fast LTE data on all our postpaid plans. That's right, no speed bumps, more data. It's like having a limitless highway of data speed at your fingertips. Whether you're a lone ranger with an individual plan or a squad rolling with a group plan, everyone gets to surf, stream, and share at enhanced, full, high-quality speed. Switch to Smart's powered-up postpaid plans today and ride the wave of postpaid power. Visit any Smart showroom or smart-bz.com for details and make your mobile experience smarter and faster. Smart, bringing people together.
I know I can't leave this plan. I can't leave this plan.
Welcome back. This is our fourth and final conversation for this morning, and it's all about YWCA's summer sessions. And we have joining us in studio Miss Lisa Griffith, who is a program coordinator over at YWCA Belize, as well as Miss Yvette Gill, who's the manager of YWCA Belmopan. Good morning to both of you ladies.
Good morning, ladies, and welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you both on set to talk a bit about what's happening with the Y this summer. Let's start with Belize City.
Okay.
Tell us a bit about what's in the pipeline in terms of courses and sessions ahead for the summer.
Okay. Summer 2024 kicks off on Monday next week.
Mm.
We have over 15 programs
Wow.
running. We have junior and senior programs running. There is something for every child in Belize. If you want your child to be in a remedial program, we have Starfall reading, math, writing. We have conversational Spanish, junior and senior, and we have computer classes. For the creative children, we have art and painting. And this art and painting is not just drawing and painting. This is painting about your feeling, your expression.
Expressional painting. Oh, nice.
Right, they're taking it to another level. So I am super excited about that. And you have the arts and craft for the younger children, drama and dancing. And for the children who like to be in the kitchen and stuff like that, we have cake baking, we have cooking, and sewing.
I see there's this is Belmopan.
That is Belmopan,
That's
yes.
Belmopan.
That's
All right, we're going to get to
Belmopan, right.
Belmopan.
I think it was
right now,
last
since
year. I think it was last year that we actually did a story on the summer programs that took place in Belize City, and I have to commend you guys because you had quite a number of kids there. Of course, these classes took place at different times throughout the day.
Right.
But I remember being so intrigued by the fact that there was something for persons who would like to learn a bit of cosmetology as well.
Right, we're offering cosmetology again this year also.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So there's something in Belize City for the kids.
For the kids.
But
we
you also
have the
adult
younger. We
session.
have the younger kids, and then we have the young people in the afternoon. The smaller ones are in the morning, 9 to 11, and then the older ones would be in the afternoon, 1 to 3.
All
And
right.
then we have our swimming program, where that's the signature of the
Yeah.
YWCA.
Yeah.
We have 2 cycles for swimming. We have a cycle 1 that starts next week and runs to July 19th, and then cycle 2 starts on July 22nd and run to August 9th.
Yeah.
What goes into deciding what these summer programs will look like on an annual basis?
Well, in the past, I don't know. I'm just at the YWCA for 3 months. But What I took into consideration is what I just said. I wanted something for every child.
Okay.
So if it's remedial, if it's just expressive art, or if it's just your creativity in, you know, a skill that's sewing or something like that, that's what I took into
All right,
consideration.
so before we expand further on the conversation, I want to jump over to Belmopan, right, to talk a bit about what's the offerings for this summer over there.
Thank you, Paul. Much along the same lines as what happens at our head office in Belize, we have many of the same things that Miss Lisa just mentioned. The one item that we probably have that they might not have included is yoga.
Ooh.
And the question that Miss Robin asked a little earlier, we bring in courses as parents ask. So yoga was one course that parents asked for. Many of the parents who asked were parents whose kids were busy, and they thought maybe the practice of yoga would calm them down a bit.
That's a challenge.
That's
who's heading that training?
Frida Jean Ramirez is
Yes.
our facilitator, and we are so grateful that she agreed to help because she's a busy yoga teacher.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
she has agreed to volunteer at the Y this summer, and so I know those parents will not be disappointed. And much like Belize City, we offer children's cake and teenage cake. Children cook, teenage cook. We're doing sewing, we're doing crochet. And we have a fairly decent turnout at this point. Of course, we could use more bodies in the house. The Y usually uses its summer program as a major fundraiser to tide us through the remainder of the year, because we are a not-for-profit, but we do need income in order to sustain. And so summer is normally one of our major fundraising. In Belmopan, I've gone to every door and knocked on them. I've been to the poor mayor. He probably is tired of seeing me. When I meet the area rep anywhere, I just give him a wave. He knows what the wave means.
Summer's coming.
Summer's coming, and we just need the support. Our children, they are fully booked academically during the regular school year, and sessions such as these give them an opportunity to expand other areas of their psyches.
Yes.
You never know.
Yes.
You never know. And so we are grateful to serve the children who come to us. We are grateful for parents who entrust their children to the one.
I have to commend you guys for taking into consideration what the parents were asking for based on what the kids may actually benefit from when we're talking yoga and what involves in yoga, not only the stretching and the flexibility, but the meditation and the discipline involved and what that could do for young people as well. But I also think about these other activities like the cake baking and cake decorating. These activities could be used for their own side businesses
That's
too.
right.
And that's one of the
That's
things
right.
that I definitely appreciated when we covered that story last year,
Thank
because
you.
when you think cosmetology
Yeah.
too, these are young
Thank
people
you.
who could establish a side business
Listen,
right
I
after
would-
summer program.
Sabrina, I would want my child to go and learn how to bake a cake.
Yeah.
Because I love cake. And if I could take that child and send him or her to the kitchen and say, hey, you learned to bake cakes this summer and we paid that money, we'll make some cakes for
But
us
not
now.
only that, that could be his or her summer program or his or her summer activity where maybe
You do a
you sell
business.
cupcakes,
do.
you know?
Right.
All of those things.
Skill this year, right? Next year
Exactly.
they start up their little business for the summer.
So this is, I have to commend you guys for that. And I think this is one of the reasons why it's so important for us to push activities like what's taking place over at the Y. We do know that it comes with a cost, but as you mentioned, it's to support a greater cause as well.
right.
What is the fees for the summer programs this year?
In Belize City, the most expensive fee is $125, and that would be for the cake baking and the cooking. Everything else is starts from $50 right up to, $125 is the most.
And that's for the week?
For the
For the entire month, for the entire cycle.
Oh, for the month.
For the month, and you get 2 sessions per week.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So it's like little and nothing.
Yeah, it's doable.
In Belmopan, our most expensive course is swimming, because we don't own a pool as
I was
yet.
going to ask, why doesn't have a pool in Belmopan?
Not yet, in the
Yeah.
name of Jesus, soon.
Yes, soon. It's gonna
But
build a
we do have entities in Belmopan who have pools, and they do partner with us. and allow us to have classes at their facilities, and of course we have to
pay them.
pay.
So what's the cost of that?
Our swimming is $145 for the entire month of July.
Okay.
But when you're done from there, you have a kid that can swim.
Amen.
You're not going to be like me and Miss Lisa, big grown adults that still can't swim.
Why you call her Miss Lisa like that?
You're
Let
spilling the
Miss Lisa
secret.
alone.
Can't swim. Guys, I told her when she joins the Wise swimming program, I'll be there with her. We'll do it together.
When Sabrina learns to swim, then that will motivate me.
That's right.
No, but I mean, all jokes aside.
Our swimming classes in Belize City is $100 for the cycle, and you swim 3 days for the week.
Okay.
So that's 3 hours for the week, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday.
Let's talk a bit about the experiences that the children have had over the years in the past. And for you, Miss Gill, what's the sort of joy that emanates from them while in these experiences?
For most of them, it's because it's the first time they're trying something along these lines.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned just now, we have given birth to entrepreneurs out of our summer program.
Absolutely.
We have kids who are advertising their products on Facebook that they learn in their summer sessions at the Y.
Yeah.
And it's something that warms my heart, because as parents, many of us expect our children to excel in academia. But maybe that might not be the desire of that child's heart.
Indeed.
Maybe that child's heart is geared toward the art, towards creativity, towards producing. And we give them that small push, and the impetus takes them elsewhere. And it's really rewarding to see children who come with low confidence in getting something done.
That's true.
And graduate with execution under their belts. We have a graduation for them at the end of the cycle.
Wonderful.
And a lot of kids spend the summer really doing nothing.
Doing nothing.
Yeah, you know, you spend the summer and you're probably just spending time on your tablet, or just being idle-minded. So it's not only an investment, it's an investment first of all, but it's an investment in your child, in your child's future, and ensuring that that child is engaged throughout this course of the summer, correct? So the programs run in cycles.
Yes.
Let's talk about the different cycles for the summer, this summer.
Only the swimming runs in cycle.
Mhm.
The
Okay.
swimming, as I said, we have the July cycle, and then, you know, the other cycle that runs into August. But the regular program runs for the month of July, starting
that's
on right, and that's it.
And that's
so
the
you
same
have
for both.
you have courses that will go Monday, Wednesday, and you have courses that will go Tuesday,
Thursday.
Okay.
morning,
And it
afternoon.
begins July
1st.
Next Monday.
Next Monday.
Oh,
Yeah.
guys, that's next. Guys,
Yeah.
start
Well, I mean,
booking your spaces.
most classes are closed this week. At the end of
correct.
this week, most of the kids will be out of
Primary
all of
school,
primary
yes, they
school,
have-
in
right,
fact.
all
I think
primary
high
schools.
schools
High schools
have
are
already
out
out.
already.
You know,
Right.
being out of school and being in the work
right there with
environment,
you.
it's
I
like
know exactly
I'm
what you mean.
completely clueless as to when schools are closed and stuff like that. But again, you all mentioned earlier that this is a part of the fundraising efforts.
Yes.
Let's talk a bit about the WISE mission, overall mission, and your annual activities to fulfill that mission.
So we in Belmopan operate much like a routine school. We offer 3 different intakes per annum. We do a September to December cohort. We have a January to March, and then April to June. So our students come in, and within 3 months, they are competent enough to join something along the discipline they've studied, or to start their own small business. And we do have a fee. We also have agencies who provide scholarships for women and youth who are in need in Belmopan, and just want to shout them out if that's okay.
Absolutely. All right,
I'd like to thank Help for Progress organization. I'd like to thank the Department of Human Services. We also get help from a pregnancy center in Belmopan, Hope for Life. And we are grateful to these agencies who see the need in our community and lend support for the programs we offer. And so they come in, they live with us for 3 months, and we have a nice sending off for them. Some of them are blessed enough to come back and repeat at an intermediate or advanced level. And that is what we do. We exist to empower women and youth. But not only women and youth, we do accept males.
Because if you notice at the top of our flyer, we are saying that all courses are open to male and female.
And some males come to sign up, and their list of questions are longer. Are there any other men in the class?
Well, from the name of the organization alone, there's
It gives the impression.
Yes.
So we are always sure to advise that we are open, we're welcome to having males in our classes, and we accept them. And we run that way, and July is for our kids. In Belmopan, we also do an amount of outreach. From time to time, we have other like-minded organizations who call us to go. For example, Tide in Punta Gorda would invite us to come and execute training for wives of their sea people, fisher folk.
Yeah.
We've done work with the Belize Audubon Society, who invite us to come and train wives of rangers.
Wow.
We've worked with the Red Cross. We've worked with the Belize Social Security Board in the Empower You project. And so we use usually August and September to go where we are needed as required by these other agencies who collaborate with us.
That's very
You know, I think it's so important that you mentioned that because when we think of the Y, we primarily think of them being active around the summertime. And of course, the sewing program that takes place, we only think of it as women taking part. So it's so important that we were able to get another perspective of the work that's being done as well. And I imagine the same can be said.
We run the 3 cohorts, and
for the city.
Good to say that the first graduation that I planned, I had one guy graduating from the cake decorating class.
Wonderful!
From the cake
Nice.
decorating class.
Yeah.
He was elated.
Was he?
Yes, he was. He was the only guy graduated from the
So a man can learn just as well
Right,
as
just
a
as
woman.
well, right.
Yes,
to
Paul, a
decorate.
man can learn to decorate.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything wrong
So
with
you
it.
don't have to wait until you have your kids to send
Send
them.
them.
You
I
can
can
learn to bake the cake too.
And you can bake your own cake.
Right, right. Adult skill starts in September. I'll see you. I'll see you there. I'll see you up there.
Well, this has been quite a great conversation, ladies. Let's remind our viewers again of the opening date of the summer programs and also the fees associated and just some of the sessions that they
Yeah.
can take part in.
And I think it's important to add there the time so that parents can work around their schedule and
Right.
understand what time.
In Belmopan, we begin on Mondays, July 1, and our first sessions in the morning are, some of them are 8 o'clock and some of them are at 9. And we go back to back. There are parents who bring their kids for the entire day because it's productive, their children come to benefit, they don't have to worry about where the child needs to be. And we are having morning sessions and afternoon sessions. We are there until about 4:30 every day. And at our end, your child, once they're in the kitchen, they're bringing home a bunch of stuff when they leave their class.
So you're not just paying for them learning to cook, they're bringing
taking
those
home
food.
The sewing students, they're bringing home products. The crochet students are bringing home things they've created. So it's visible. It's not just, now if the children eat their goods before they get home,
We can't fight that.
Disclaimer. We make sure they bring a container with lid. We ensure they leave the building with items in the container.
Can't guarantee what happens after
That sounds like you guys are talking from experience.
Yes.
And in Belize
Yes.
City, the time?
The
and-
time, our morning session starts at 9, runs to 11, for exception of sewing. Sewing runs until 12. And the afternoon sessions from 1 to 3.
Okay, so where can people go to get more information if they want the details?
You can
the flyers?
contact the YWCA 223, that's 4971, or WhatsApp us at 627 23.
I don't have your WhatsApp.
Yeah,
I don't have your
Call the first number, guys.
they have Facebook. They can go on Facebook.
They can
or
go on Facebook. All the flyers are up on Facebook.
YWCA Belize.
in
And
Belize,
for
right.
Belmopan, please feel free to call it 220472 or our WhatsApp 65610. We can shoot you the registration forms on WhatsApp or by email. You can make your payment online. We provide the list of items your student needs to bring. We send out a reminder. There's no reason your child should be at home on a phone or on a tablet, on television. Your child can be engaged in something that might set the stage for the rest of his or her life.
Yes.
We're there to serve you. We welcome you.
Our WhatsApp number is 627-2348. And you can get access to your forms on WhatsApp, banking information, send back the forms on WhatsApp, and you're good to go.
Excellent.
Good
Ladies,
to go.
thank you so much for joining us. This has been a wonderful conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I wish you guys all the best. I hope you're able to get those numbers up on Monday.
Thank you
very
for
much
having
having
us.
us.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, well, Paul, this has been a great morning. We want to say, of course, thank you to all of our guests who stopped by this morning, but a special thank you to you guys for tuning in with us. It is June the 25th. And if you're celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to you. You also want to remember that it's not only the 25th, someone's birthday, but it's the 25th KTV audition night. So definitely stay tuned to your devices or your televisions. 8 o'clock tonight, where you get to see just some of the people who participated in our 2-day KTV auditions. Also remember that of those individuals who auditioned, only 12 will make it to the live stage next week, Tuesday. So you'll be able to find out who those individuals are. Well, that does it for the show, Paul. Again, we want to say thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. You can also catch us on Facebook at
Open Your Eyes BZ,
as well as Instagram at OYE Belize. Thank you so much for joining us, and please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow as you open your eyes
and start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your minds,
and your hearts open.
Have a wonderful Tuesday.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by SMART, bringing people together, and the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.